Shanghai 5 years ago. Soaz was there, Double Lift, Prey, and also Clear Love all there. These are players 5 years later still involved and in the thick of it.
And we can see EVOS respecting the fact that Fnatic can go for a split pusher in the form of the Yasuo, taking that away from them alongside the Swain.
Yeah, while we're all, happy to see Soaz and everyone's focusing on the substitution here, Caps has been such a standout player for this team, and you have to respect and give him his credit.
Alongside that, Fnatic removing the Kai'Sa and the Graves from YiJin, something that he's played incredibly well on throughout the rest of the tournament. Skarner from Broxah. And we're getting to that point where we're starting to actually see more target bans. We're getting to those points where, yes, you have the strong power picks like the Kai'Sa, but things like the Graves, things like the Skarner do need to be taken away.
And when it comes to drafts, early drafts in particular, EVOS have kind of been going towards what they feel like they're strong on. Kha'Zix's first pick has come out. Kha'Zix's not going to be banned here by Fnatic against YiJin. They also go for early priority and Cassiopeia. And while with a strong jungler that makes a lot of sense, they've kind of failed to pair those two things together in their recent games. We'll see what they're going to be able to put together here. As a first pick Camille is certainly a flex pick when you have a jungler like YiJin.
100% flex pick. Yes, it could be seen as like a dare to Soaz to want to take a carry-carry matchup there and up the tempo, but Camille is a very effective early game jungler. Can go, just for buffs, try and get the early ganks off and snowball lanes, and that could very well be, within YiJin and EVOS's wheelhouse. Even though it would be a jungler, he'd probably still focus topside. If you look at all the stats for this team, though, his jungle proximity is majorly on the top side of the map and playing with Stark.
Camille was Stark's second most played this year as well, so wouldn't be surprised to see it in the top lane. Fnatic get the Ezreal and the Trundle here.
You do look at what they give up though, and you get suspicious, because first pick Trundle, that's a very obvious first pick for a lot of teams. Ezreal, the Ezreal with teleport has become something that is a staple of the tournament. So I look at the Camille and say, if it's not jungle, you gave up a lot, and you didn't really get a power pick, at least based on what we've seen over the course of this week.
Yeah, and Rekkles had second most played champion as Ezreal, and that was even taken into account before the Ezreal double tier build started to emerge, and a lot of the later game power was shorn up. Now they've also got the Trundle and Braum. This is one of the most secure kind of frontline combinations. I really enjoy this because Braum, for the team fights, obviously has a lot of zone control, but can also help out, with controlling the waves, being one of the only champions to put up some sort of wall to block damage to your minions as well.
And the skirmishing can be really fun when it comes to shorting the feathers as well, when it comes to trades on the Ezreal. So it could be an active lane early levels, so it's going to be a fun one there, but we do mention already the Kha'Zix. Seems like for now, Fnatic's just assuming that the Camille top is the likelier outcome because they've done the same research as you.
Yeah, and there's the Zoe ban as well, removing that from Caps, the standout performer for Fnatic, as we've said. Interesting to see the Xayah Rakan prioritized here by EVOS. Is an aggressive bottom lane, but Rakan actually doesn't have a great win rate. Banned out in 100% of games, or picked in 100% of games. Only 1 and 2 in terms of win, a 33% win rate across the board here at MSI.
It definitely is a champion that allows you for some very quick moves for your team. Very long-range engagements. However, if you're not able to get a kill within that engagement or not able to, follow up on that engagement, then he does go down very quickly. And that's the kind of the weakness of the champion. If you're able to lock him down with multiple forms of CC like Braum can bring to the table, then it can get difficult to operate.
Now let's talk about the red side draft, because traditionally you'd expect Caps with the form he's in to get the counter pick for last pick. That still may be true. We have seen plenty of Bwipo and Soaz on the Sion. When it comes to that Sion mid lane, it could potentially still be the flex pick here. So they're leaving their options open. They're going for the strongest tank available with Orin banned away, Cho'Gath banned away, and just reassessing to see how they can, again, follow Young Buck's words and slow down EVOS with a counter pick.
Well, EVOS are not slowing down in their champion select. They've got the Olaf, very powerful in the early game, even though Trundle, yes, later on in the game can shred and has to be something to worry about. Early on, Olaf, especially if you go for invades, should be able to dictate jungle pathing.
And eventually end up with the Azir. Now, if it was a mid lane Sion, we know the interaction of Rush, Banner of Command, and make Azir's life hell, because he can't even use the soldiers to try to clear that minion. Wait and see what the decision is here. They go for the Vladimir, still pretty flexible stuff. First thought is Vladimir mid lane, but who knows? Soaz has certainly played that in the top lane before.
Yeah, Soaz such a veteran on that champion as well, very comfortable on it. We have until that 20-second mark for Fnatic to decide where they're going to put these two And it is a much slower composition from Fnatic. They are definitely playing this delay the game, stall out EVOS, and stop them from having this early aggression.
Yeah, they're the ones with the tanks, so they would want to try and force EVOS into a honorable quote-unquote fight where everyone stands toe-to-toe and you just fight front to back. However, EVOS are going to want to split, and this is something we have seen from them during this year. It could be YiJin on the Olaf trying to get Stark ahead on the Camille to the Trinity Force, upgrade your Tiamat, and you start to become this big split-pushing threat, forcing things across the map.
We see the confirmation. It will be a Vladimir mid lane. If it wasn't for the tournament scene where Soa's only just joining us on the 3rd day and Caps is hard carried, I would have thought the other was. It's King Zone. I definitely would have thought Sion mid lane. But given the form Caps is in, the Azir nerfs means his harass onto Vladimir's much less in lane. You hit that sweet spot of being able to out-sustain trades earlier. I can understand the Vladimir mid lane for Caps.
Yeah, plus I really like Sion top side into Camille.
Sure.
Definitely easy for him in the lane. It's going to be up to the Olaf here to really see if anything changes in this kind of matchup. So, and the Olaf, actually, his performance is going to be determined very early on.
Yep.
By the way that we start out.
Well, as we get on to the Summoner's Rift, we'll have to see if Fnatic do decide to do anything sneaky in the early game. It worked out yesterday for them versus King Zone. We've heard that they do like practicing that level 1, understanding exactly how they're going to play the early portions of the game. And it's so vital against a team like EVOS, who can be incredibly aggressive. If they find a catch, if they find a flash, EVOS are unrelenting in the way that they pressure the map.
Do notice that Rekkles has gone away from expectation or tournament expectation. Weird thing to talk about, but teleport Ezreal is now the norm here. He's going to be going for the flash for a bit more of laning security against Xayah and Rakan. So just a little notable thing here, depending on how things have gone previously.
And early on, you have to track YiJin in this game. It's very important to know where that Olaf is if you're a Fnatic player, and for us to watch him because he's the one that's going to be playing those early aggressive ganks, trying to get his team ahead.
And because they're not going for the invade, we may consider YiJin actually starting. You can start Raptors and Red with Olaf, but then you're going to need to get to your blue to have some mana regen. But you still end up on the top side of the map, so he can have a bottom starting route. And get up there pretty early on. So we'll see if Soaz is able to respect the possibility of those ganking timers. If they actually spot YiJin and find him here starting.
This is really interesting. Look at this, Kobe. A very delayed invade. You don't often see this early, this late. 1 minute 35.
Yeah, I don't think they got actual vision of Olaf. Either team seeing the other one. So Fnatic very happy about stealing away this red. And YiJin is trying to do that Raptors into red.
He's going to be surprised.
Olaf start, but he'll find that he's been had.
And then we're going to see Broxah actually go down towards the bottom lane for a gank here as well. Hylissang with a flash forward on towards Slay, trying to burn those summoners early. And once again, it's a Xayah against Fnatic, and it's a Xayah that is dead at level 1.
What a crazy, successful early game here from Fnatic. This is insane. It takes away so much possible, plays from EVOS. Like, if you take away the red from Olaf, you delay, his experience as well gathering up, then the bottom lane is also ahead. This completely changes the way this game is going to play out.
It's all about preparation. They had done a lot of prep to see the ward patterns at level 1. Means they could get through unseen. Even though Olaf knew his red was down, they didn't put 2 and 2 together to know that Broxah could come for this gank. And right at the end, just after the replay ends, Rekkles can even start to get the freeze on the minion wave as well to put the minion wave in an awkward spot. A level 2 advantage guaranteed for Fnatic.
And YiJin, he showed on the ward by his red. Now he's showing on the ward by Raptors. Broxah's going to try and chase him off before he gets many of the mini ones. And the mini ones are worth 35 experience each, so those are decent amount here early game as YiJin is trying to find experience anywhere he can get it. Currently, he's only killed those 2 camps. As you can see, though, Vladimir there, Caps, he has definitely had a good showing for himself.
Vladimir meta has been accelerated just because the champion himself can find so much more mobility when the quests were removed. The top lane Vladimir's went away, but Shrelia's build, health and the ability power double scaling, and just the natural tendency of Vladimir to be kited away makes him very much a viable pick. He comes online in terms of teamfight impact just earlier than previously.
It's important for us to know how impactful this game could be in the tournament standings with Team Liquid picking up a win. They're now hot on the heels of EVOS, actually at the same scoreline. Fnatic need to continue their winning streak, otherwise you're looking at that 5th spot, you're looking at that 6th spot, and you're probably quite worried if you're either of these teams and you lose this game.
Does amuse you that the Young Buck interview was about just slowing it down, keeping it normal, and they pulled off the very creative level 1 to get them ahead.
Definitely
Misdirection.
Gamesmanship.
Definitely was a very important level 1. Stark, though, pushing his wave, and we do have the timing now. YiJin's gone back to base, and the first base for Olaf is very important, picking up those boots so you can utilize Predator, and they want to create plays. This is the team that wants to push the tempo, move a little bit faster.
This is definitely something you can do on Camille as well. Push up into Soaz in that top lane. Soaz is just going to be playing safe, as we heard, and then you get the gank off with the hook shot straight onto Caps, but immediately pops the Sanguine Pool. Tactical Sweep will connect. Warzone for a bit of damage with the soldiers. Caps can heal up with the Sanguine Rush, but needs to be cautious.
Nice roam timing there. I was looking for a back anyway, was the Camille, so nothing to punish it, although backing on a ward, Broxah able to just interrupt.
Currently, too, the wave pushing towards him. He doesn't have too much more time. Stark would want to walk back up to the top side, and all these delays, stopping to go for the hook shot on the Vladimir for a little bit of chunk of health, and then getting pillared, does actually mean we're going to have teleports coming out from both of the solo laners of EVOS, reducing a lot of the potential for the cross-map play.
Caps trying to trade in here, but Warzone just gets so much damage down. Caps was way too aggressive.
I guess because he used double soldier, he couldn't flash for an attempt at a kill, so does live through all of it. Rekkles himself walking over.
Was spotted out on a ward here.
Yeah, this is going to be... I thought he was going to actually go for the minions, but he's just going to give actually Caps some room to take the minions at his turret with his rotation up through the river.
What a transformation for Fnatic. Last year, it was all about feeding Rekkles, getting Rekkles the gold, and here Rekkles is taking time out of his lane after pushing it up to allow Caps some CS.
So if you notice, the minion wave is in a really rough spot, so sure, he could try to farm it with Q, but he couldn't really go for any auto attacks. You're right, though. We saw yesterday, when it came to the pentakill takeaway, the begrudging respect. This is just the true respect here. That's the sort of thing that makes you happy as a Fnatic fan, because a two-pronged threat is always a very formidable thing in League of Legends.
Yeah, Fnatic have been a very good two-threat team, both Rekkles and Caps for the regular season. Huge damage percentages for them, and the rest of the crew playing a very reliable front line, which should be the case this time around. Sion, Trundle, and Braum all extremely good as you get later into the game, and look more for, again, the coordinated and calm setup team fights is what Fnatic are looking for. And EVOS trying to push the tempo instead and create more of these plays.
Something Broxah has done well against teams that are trying to push the tempo, though, is tracking the enemy jungler. He did it against Peanut yesterday. Here is this control of the bottom side of the map, the control of the red buff spawns that we saw even starting at level 1 here from Fnatic.
That was a team-wide effort as well. Hylissang and Bwipo at the time pushing in and getting down the wards. They have the same sort of priority in lane. Sion's being pushed in on the top side. We already saw that Stark had the space to roam into the mid lane earlier, so of course they can't make quite the same impact, but they've got the gold. And honestly, the kill in a roundabout way is decreasing the tempo of the game, is making things a little bit more difficult for EVOS to push things forward, and that does play into the game plan that Fnatic already identified.
And it's so great for Fnatic to get that kill onto Rekkles as well. We've seen Ezreal throughout this tournament be incredibly impactful. You can see here doing 130, 140 damage per minute more than the other AD carries. YiJin is going to gank up towards the top side. So as flashes away, plays safe underneath this tower.
Didn't have space to look for the ult there to get away.
That's going to be a big first step, actually, though, because Stark still has his ultimate as well as Flash. And now without ultimate there for Soaz, could still be a target. Bottom side, though, Fnatic make cross-map play.
Teleport from Soaz as well, looking for that unstoppable onslaught. Hylissang jumps in once again. RonOP not stunned up, will get away, but
Soaz!
Here comes the unstoppable Soaz dodging around, forcing Slay up. No reaction yet from Warzone. He can't come back down and join his team. Slay knocked up with the axe. Broxah takes him out with the club.
No commitment phobia for Soaz, going for a dive under the secondary turret 7 minutes into the game.
While that is happening, because they committed teleport bottom, topside push there for Stark. He's on the turret trying to race multiple people from Fnatic, but Fnatic already have 3 people on the turret, should be able to get bonus gold.
And Stark's between items. He doesn't have a Sheen or even a Tiamat, so he's very low on combat stats. This will be turret, and they're looking for more.
RonOP does have Flash. We'll use the Grand Entrance Flash across the pillar as well, just trying to delay this tower, but I think Fnatic will still get first tower blood, and with it, a 2,000 gold lead for a very short time.
Yeah, that was the whole idea there, trying to have RonOP go in and delay them, but not going to be enough. In the end, Stark, now he just wants to be able to even finish this turret before the minions die, because there's already been a reset from Fnatic and they're heading to the top side.
Olaf on the minimap just before he went to this replay, not joining him to do turret damage. That would have definitely got it over the line. We'll see if that is costly in the bot side. It looked like the double flash was going to be all they were going to get, but Soaz had other ideas.
Yep, continues the ultimate here all the way through, knowing that there's no further escapes for Slay, as well as no rotation from the mid lane, so not going to be any sort of redemption or savior for him. Finish off that kill, and again, yeah, wasn't even able to, in the end, finish off that turret, and Fnatic fully able to swap their duo lane up to the top side and now push this lane.
Pretty bizarre to me that Olaf didn't come and just whack in a couple of auto attacks with the axes and finish it off, because returning to that standing gold is going to now require a team-wide rotation, a teleport, something much more substantial. And Olaf's time, all he got for that was a red buff steal. Rekkles re-enters lane, looking towards his first item here. Very much going to be Moon. We'll see if it is going to be the Trinity Force behind it as well. That's the favorite with Prey, whereas other AD carries, even if they're going double tier, have been going towards the Iceborne gold.
Double tier? That's a build, Papasmithy?
Too soon.
Anyway, let's have a look at things from EVOS' perspective as well. There's a 20 CS lead for Stark in that top lane, so he is starting to get a little bit of gold under his belt on this very comfortable champion for him. We've already seen him roam around the map a little bit. The question is whether he can actually have an impact.
Yeah, and the rough thing for him is, even if you have a gold lead, if it's not transferable into the items yet, you need the Sheen proc to be able to actually have big chunks. That's a reason why Fnatic picked Sion here. He's able to soak so much. They're still sending all resources down here, though. YiJin might be able to add the extra DPS.
Running in with the Predator, there's a Hectic Ultimatum as well, so as just face plants into the baby cage. He will fall, and first kill for EVOS.
All right, EVOS try to play off their point of power. YiJin heads on down, and they get a very quick kill, so that was definitely an efficient use of his time, and going to allow Stark to push up the wave to the turret, try and get some headway done there, as well as splitting here for 2 objectives at once.
So still going to be able to take objectives despite losing that first turret and not having an answer. Watching in the mid lane, and kind of what we expected, the Caps would continue to struggle a bit.
Double knock at the lands there, but the Featherstorm should be enough from Slay to keep himself alive for the moment.
I think a lot of people are sitting on pretty sizable amounts of gold. We're seeing Caps finally go back to base. Straight up Shirelli is picked up.
A Mounted Drake also is quite good if EVOS are going to hard commit to having the split, allow Camille really big chunks on turrets when she is split pushing. That's what they're going to want to do. They want to have the map split out so that Stark can have some isolated time. They do not want a team fight. Their AD carry is down tremendously in CS, and most of their power here is off in the side lane. Here comes YiJin on the Olaf, adds the extra threat.
There's Rekkles in the top lane.
Good to know. Good to know what was happening around the rift. The only thing I take away from that from Soaz was, should have known the ultimate wasn't getting him away. Already mid into the Hextech ultimatum cast. I like the fact that EVOS is showing good respect. The moment that they saw their top laner finishing off the turret in bot lane and their jungler taking Drake, they actually backed off top side just in case there'd be turret dive and there'd be a team-wide rotation to take down that turret. Didn't end up happening, but they're taking themselves earlier out of threat range, whereas that was something that you could have been criticizing them for overstaying around turrets on the first 2 match days.
It's very easy when you have an aggressive team composition to try to make too many plays, to not be willing to back away when you're in a difficult position. You can see RonOP trying to get vision throughout the river here, which Fnatic do control. No actual wards apart from that one up in the top side bush. Broxah is going to start up the Rift Herald, and this is the objective trade you kind of expect when a Drake goes down on the bottom side and when Fnatic have the stronger top side of the map.
It's one of those nice places where Fnatic know where they're strong. EVOS created a strong area by getting that gank off bot side, and now you just give up these objectives. You can't contest for them, be a suicide run to do so. Obviously, you walk up and try and sniff around, but nothing's really going to happen on the top side.
And again, look at the mini-map. It is just YiJin following around Stark in his split push. This Camille is their hope. He's got a huge CS lead. Now he's got the extra burst damage from Sheen completed in addition to the Tiamat. And they were hoping for some sort of fight that they could take, but that time, the second time around, Soaz plays safer, backs off, just gets the minions at his turret.
And you're not really at item thresholds where you can force no-go zones as the Camille. You don't have Trinity Force in a second item already. You still have threat, but not enough to get a kill, not enough to turret dive. So able to start up something with the Rift Herald, gets a recall kill away, but the item timings need to be there for Stark to actually force Fnatic to react, whereas the Rift Herald does the job for Fnatic.
Gets in that second tower up in the top side. Mid has been relatively quiet up until now. Caps going in with the Shirelles, but Warzone is able to just dodge away and You can tell that Caps is really just waiting on his team to be able to group up, get those big flank players off. He doesn't actually need to do too much at this portion of the game.
And even just moments like that where he pops to Shirelli in full vision, about 600 units away, he's not going to be able to get a kill or a dive, but he does buy time for the rest of his team to walk into the enemy jungle and know that Azir won't be reacting. So it's really about gamesmanship and what you can get for the little amount of risk that Caps was able to provide.
And the next step here for EVOS is trying to enable the split push by controlling vision. If they're able to control some of this deep vision that Fnatic are putting down, then maybe they can look for, you know, some more of those plays off of the Camille. But right now, Fnatic, they pushed fully in on the top side, left quite a few wards down through the blue quadrant, and aren't taking too many risks in rotating.
And pushing by vision is just not the EVOS approach, or of course playing into the approach of Vietnam, where very much it's about kill pressure. The high champion kills per minute leads into item advantages, and then, well, I can't go near that Fed member. Purely a slow game, 3 kills in 14 minutes. Again, echoes what Young Buck was talking about, and just the fact that there's such a low gold game overall because the kills haven't been rolling in, the items aren't quite there for Stark to really dictate the map to Fnatic.
He is building up towards it, though. 40 CS up in that side lane. So if he can get to a point where he catches out Rekkles, he catches out Caps, maybe even is able just to pure 1v1 Soaz, and Soaz is playing not as safe as he should be, that's really where we'll see EVOS come online. You can see on Camille, 8-1 in the regular split. It's his second most played champion. Very, very strong.
Yeah, we see so much of them playing around Stark in the top side and getting them to this point. They also have done, you know, step number 1. They got 3 of those control wards down in their jungle to try and deny some of that vision from Fnatic, but Fnatic are playing it safe. They have the buddy system, as you can see, going in, Hylissang as well as Caps to try and get some more safety for themselves.
There's really no objectives over there to take, apart from this inner turret, and Sion can delay for so long safely. Actually finding something there before the Drake spawns is going to be slow going for the Olaf, who you notice does not have a meaningful CS lead. It's about a camp and a half behind his opposing number, so Trundle definitely going to be very content that Olaf hasn't run away with this game.
And as much as the top side of the map is being won here for EVOS, it's the bottom side of the map where Fnatic have been playing. Rekkles actually with the highest CS differential for an AD carry this tournament at 15 minutes, at 46 farm ahead of Slay. It's a transformation for him from when he was losing to Uzi on day 1.
And while the map assignment of the Camille in the lane of the Sion is ideal, the Azir in a side lane against Vladimir is anything but. That's inevitably what happens as the game goes on. One of the main reasons, alongside all the incidental nerfs, that Azir sometimes can be found wanting. They walk up to mid lane here, Fnatic.
Yep, as a team, as 5, that is how Fnatic want to fight. With their tanks in front and Rekkles in back firing away. So grouping up around the mid lane, trying to get some damage onto it is the main goal. However, EVOS have the opposite. And Stark is about to finish off that turret he started so long ago.
Yeah, that was definitely one on the bucket list for quite a long time for Stark. Even walking up as 5, I don't think Caps has the items to threaten the dive, and you look at the lineup, it's 2 ranged auto attackers. Vladimir doesn't do very much in a siege. We already mentioned that in the previous game, so even with 5 members, pretty slow going to actually cement this third outer turret for Fnatic.
As that one drops, though, Fnatic will be able to move over and get a Cloud Drake, allowing them to move quicker across the map and maybe answer some of these moves from EVOS. So EVOS don't want to give this one up, obviously, and this is actually one of the worst dragons for them to give up, but they can't do anything about it because Stark, you know, with his Trinity Force now completed, back up to the top side, that is, you know, where they get to actually control anything from.
It's been a very ordered game. Teams have known where they're strong, where they're weak, they've respected. Again, the level 1 was very creative by Fnatic, preying on tendencies of EVOS and got them a massive lead, but from there, it's been ordered. No one has really blown open the game, but Fnatic keep inching forward. They're closer and closer to death cap on the Vladimir when he really can start diving the backline and finding a way to actually get the most out of the Camille. Just being a pure split pusher with limited vision is a pretty difficult thing for any team to execute, let alone EVOS.
But you can see EVOS are trying to deal with that limited vision by getting wards deep into the Fnatic jungle. They actually have one at the red bush, controlling that topside river as well. If they can keep Stark alive, they are still within 1,000 gold. They're still in a pretty strong or pretty equal position here with Fnatic. Yes, we think Fnatic has the stronger composition when it comes to these big team fights. But if EVOS are able to make a pick here or there, they are very much in this game.
All about extending the map a little bit. Inner turrets go down, there'll be more routes for Caps to flank, and putting expectation onto Caps has certainly been a good thing for Fnatic fans so far this tournament. So that's really the place where Fnatic scaling comes up trumps, is the Vladimir's ability to occupy the backline.
EVO's trying to split the map, though. They've got teleport on Warzone. Even though it's on cooldown, he still went to push the side lane. So the 1-3-1 from EVOS is getting the sideways push and starting on top side. Meanwhile, Fnatic will finish up the outer turret that still stands here for EVOS and gain some more gold for themselves.
Xayah out of position, so they're actually able to walk up this time. Only a Trundle pillar expended. Very low cost to get that target. This is continuing.
Yeah, it's not just one. They're going for two here. Fnatic almost finishing off the second turret.
Yeah, Stark has the flank on here as well if he wants to come across, but instead he's just going to do the red buff. As you said, was a little bit greedy, but Vladimir always a bit deceptive when he goes low, can just heal up very quickly in those sorts of situations.
Here comes Stark, actually, through the jungle. He laid some wards, but there's not going to be an opportunity for them to actually catch any members of Fnatic. So in the end, Fnatic definitely getting the better of that, as neither of the side waves were able to crash into the turret. And Fnatic stayed just long enough to be able to get the lead in objectives.
Put down wards around the top side, but he won't be returning there. Of course, to use his teleport makes much more sense with the Baron spawning by bot side of the map. See if EVOS can find any advantage around the top side. Again, we continue to tick over, but it's been a good move out, a good move from Fnatic. No brain fades so far. The Baron was certainly an interesting one in our previous games, so Baron setups are probably the next order of business.
Baron would definitely be a huge tool for either team. If EVOS, in splitting up and creating multiple points of pressure, can then catch someone from Fnatic and kill them and try and get that Baron, that would greatly accelerate any of the extra split push power and the extra turrets that they'd be able to get to try and change the way that this game is heading.
Timings for Rekkles, if you're wondering, with the second tier now being stacked around 26 minutes with the cheaper build, not going from Trinity Force, what we saw previous game. Earliest we saw Prey put together the Triforce double tier evolve was around 28 minutes on the first day.
And we already have Caps finishing his death cap here on the Vladimir, so he has a huge amount of damage output that he can do to multiple people with the AoE. EVOS have to be very wary about where his position is and watch the flanks. If Caps flanks into the backline, he can destroy you.
That's exactly what he's trying to do here. Has popped the Ghost, trying to chase on towards RonOP, and
oh baby!
Flashes in the Hemo Plague, but Caps are off because he falls underneath the tower.
He does not respect the Rakan crowd control. RonOP with the quick reflexes immediately activates his ult, and there's no pool from Caps. He's not able to survive under the turret. Gets so aggressive with how much power he felt he had just gotten. You know, you complete your death cap, you're ready to use it. Both summoners blown, but immediately EVOS cut him short.
Got Lee Syndrome. Vladimir Syndrome has been a thing as early as the play-ins this tournament, where you Ghost, Flash, Protobelt, get in there with the Shirelias. Your team can't follow you, and in this case, like you say, you don't follow the crowd control. He thought with the ability to both pull and also having the stasis available on the perfect time and the stopwatch, he'd be fine. But he's kind of alone in all of this, and it wasn't necessary, really. They'd already chased them away.
Yeah, so there's a ward on the Wolf camp right there. They saw him come to flash over, and RonOP immediately pops his ultimate, goes for the engage, locks him up. Right now, the Warzone's toast!
Yeah, Warzone's the one that's caught out here. Teleport was used as well, but cancelled in the end. Soaz might complete his here. Stark's trying to stop him.
Doesn't get interrupted.
Actually, yeah, Soaz teleports over to this side of the map, so that means Stark is going to be working on that turret over there and trying to delay Fnatic right now while they get some split put advantage.
And Fnatic have to go for it because they don't have the teleport on Soaz anymore. They can't answer Stark in that side lane. Stark, no TP for him. Fnatic started up the Baron now. EVOS, 3 men strong, trying to stop it if they can. RonOP doesn't have the quickness, doesn't have that ultimate, won't be able to dive and charm up that backline. Baron down to 4,000 now. Look at Caps in the front. He's trying to keep RonOP and Slayer away from the fight, but YiJin's going in. Has the blast going round towards the side. The engage on towards RonOP. That's one down, but YiJin can still re-engage this with the blast cone if he can get there. Hylissang stands in the way. The damage on Broxah is so low, they get the Baron. YiJin unable to get in the pit.
Actually failed the flash.
Now it goes in! That's not where you want to be at all, YiJin!
You know that saying, better late than never?
I think that one doesn't apply here.
Doesn't apply here. Stark, though, got some work done. Split push on the bottom side. Eventually, because of the delay work that the rest of EVOS was able to do, he finishes off the inhibitor. So there was a large cost to this Baron from Fnatic. And even though, you know, there was the fail flash, they're able to pick up the Infernal Drake consolation prize afterwards, even without their jungler.
And if you ignore the replay and just say, okay, they got the Baron, you got inhibitor opposite side of the map to the Baron and an Infernal Drake, then suddenly the ability to work out who was the winner is much trickier and perhaps will have to be a result-oriented hindsight thing as the game goes on. The actual execution, when we see it, that was a bit rusty. In Korea, we talk about the yakety sax moments. That was one of them with the fail flash from YiJin. Regardless, Rekkles walks up, they take it down, and we suddenly have a bit of a new game to judge.
Yeah, it was really good delay work, though. If you did take out the part, you know, of the flash and all that, Slay was able to get a nice ultimate and root 4 members outside of the pit to delay the Baron even longer and buy Stark some more time. In the end, though, now it's Fnatic's turn to try and answer here. They have 2 members clearing out the super minion wave, so that inhibitor down in the bottom side is negated for the time being, and the rest of them rotating over with the Baron buff to push on this lane and try and beat Stark's split push once again.
And Fnatic will have to dive. This game will come down to a turret dive because Camille will be in the top side. They have Baron, they have strong tanks, and also the Vladimir to go for a turret dive. But it will be execution focused, you'd have to think.
You have to think they'll do it here as well. Got the banner of command, Stark no teleport. They can take a 4v5 fight down towards this bottom side, but they need to get damage on towards that tower. Next minion wave is a long way away, and Stark is still split pushing.
We don't have a minion dematerializer here, so no answer for the banner.
Yep, the banner is the hero here for Fnatic, taking down the turret almost by itself.
But Stark's taking down the inhibitor tower in the top lane. He already got 1 turret, the second tier. Now he's going for the in-hit.
Yep, gonna be able to melt that one down. Here they go!
Warzone puts up the shield, protect the Emperor, he says. But look at the engage, the double charm, the triple knockout. RonOP, truly OP in this fight. Stark's gonna get a second inhibitor. And Fnatic, you have to wonder if they need to look for the game.
Yeah, you can trade inhibitors, but you can't trade Nexus turrets here. Fnatic are backing off.
One person gets the recall. It's going to be Soaz, of course, can't kill the Camille.
Stark's got one of the Nexus turrets down.
And just look back to last year, Stark on Gigabyte Marines, the true carry for that team. Now he's stepping up for EVOS once again, representing Vietnam against Fnatic, who look very much in control of this game.
This game is getting hyphy in a way you wouldn't respect. The reason why I said they needed to dive was about the speed. Camille alone can train down turrets, one of the things you get with the Trinity Force build. Fnatic instead, they said they've got no way to kill the banner, we'll be fine, but it's about the pace of the killing. And EVOS come out way ahead.
Yeah, EVOS have played so much split push with Stark. Now they're up an extra inhibitor here on Fnatic. Even with this Baron buff now timing out, EVOS continue to push and help their super minions.
You have to give credit to EVOS as well. We said they wanted to take these skirmishes. They wanted to play early aggro. That didn't work. They've transitioned into this split push through Stark, getting those inhibitors down and forcing Fnatic to make difficult decisions.
And it's one of those awkward things where Caps was, of course, heavily punished for ghost flashing under a turret and getting nothing. Of course, that's going to dissuade you for at least the next couple of moments to do it again. They may need that as summoners are on cooldown, but they're going to need to make a very assertive attempt to start the fight. They've got the damage. I think they're set up to win it, but getting the fight with all this split push happening, that's the tricky part.
Exactly. We set it up in Champ Select. Fnatic want to play the simpler game and, you know, fight the face-to-face, stand toe-to-toe, fight front to back, but it becomes so frustrating to fight these split push games if you're not able to force your opponents into that. And since EVOS are so experienced here, you know, in splitting the map in and attacking from the sides, they've been able to get the double super minion stacked on top side and kind of keep Fnatic in their own side of the map.
And when Fnatic took the Baron and lost the inhibitor in the bottom lane, we said we'd have to look back in retrospect and see how much they got off the Baron. They got an inhibitor for an inhibitor and 1,300 gold. That is not worth, in my opinion.
I agree. It had to be the dive. That's why we called it out and said, go for the turret dive. You have Vladimir, Sion, Trundle, Braum. Incredibly tanky team. You got to roll with it. You get the turret dive right, you win the game because you cannot outpush 4 people as a Camille. They didn't take it. They tried to play measured. They still said, okay, don't worry, guys. They can't kill the banner minion. Be fine. That part was the wrong decision.
Again, it's not just the Camille here. This is a teleport Azir Warzone Gonna try his hand up here at helping the super minions as well. And if you get both to crash at the same time, this is where EVOS begin to close the loop. They're gonna have extra pressure. They're gonna rotate towards the mid, try and get that last secondary turret down, and continue to take territory away from Fnatic.
And I want to talk item builds, because we talked about no-go zones based on items. Trinity Force, Ravenous Hydra, Sterix Gauge is the build for lane and for turret damage. Look at what we see on Soaz. He actually has magic resists.
All right, Stark. See if we can get out of this one.
Unstoppable Onslaught will hit on towards him. There's the Glacial Fissure as well. Rekkles waiting in the wings. Trundle on his way. And Stark not in the best of shape, but another hookshot will get him away. Soaz misses the roar.
The great escape.
Stark with a great escape here. Rekkles, though, gets the Iceborne Gauntlet slow. Eventually he'll fall. What are EVOS doing on the rest of the map?
Pushing on the top side is the Azir, but the inhibitor's already down, trying to take mid laner, but the teleport will come through. They wasted a lot of time, but all they'll get is a bit of vision and nothing more.
That would be 2 flashes blown for Soaz as well as Hylissang. The Ignite also used, but Fnatic, again, they take down the biggest member here from EVOS, and that is the real threat there. So they buy themselves some time for inhibitors to respawn, and that will definitely relieve a lot of the super minion pressure.
Soaz did use his teleport to get back to mid lane as well, though. So they no teleport advantage at all for Fnatic. Still 2 TPs on EVOS. So with that top lane inhibitor being down and the Baron on the cards in 30 seconds, maybe we'll see EVOS try and split the map once again.
It's so interesting here with another Mountain Drake on the table. There's a very high priority because you don't have much more damage left to structures to do to end out one of these games. So Fnatic want to jump on this immediately. However, 18 seconds on Baron, so they have to swap back up and make sure that EVOS don't rush onto that right after.
And the Baron speed it gives Fnatic has to be relevant too, because the last Baron was where we saw split push versus Baron take. The split push is still on. Like I was mentioning, full combat from the Camille compared to Sion, who hasn't even fully built for lane. A Warmogs would have been more towards it. It's very much built for team fights. He's not getting because he has to answer the Camille. See what happens around this Baron, because it probably decides the game.
Yeah, EVOS are going to try and split up once again. You get the pressure on the bottom lane from Camille pushing, and then you want to waste as much of Fnatic's time by making them walk from 2 different areas. Bottom lane over to Baron by threatening it, and if you can get them to waste enough time in transition, that's where you get the opening to actually secure the game.
And the opening is also here for walking up. Camille's a long way away from the naked inhibitor here, so they can walk up, they can clear vision, they can start to control this area. The last 3 calls have happened. Here it started by Fnatic.
He's going to force it straight away. Baron being chunked out by Fnatic, but Warzone and YiJin are on the side. RonOP not here yet. The moment is a 2v5. Unstoppable Onslaught from Soaz. Fnatic need this because Stark's already on the inhibitor in that bottom lane. Here comes the rest of EVOS. The Baron down, the charm comes out, but Caps on, flares up. Caps gets the kill on RonOP. Inhibitor falls, the Baron goes down to Fnatic. They need to get back though because Stark is looking for the end.
Yeah, Baron empowered recalls just in time. That's going to put a stop to the split push, and now Fnatic with a huge victory there are going to be able to go on the offensive.
And it was off clear shot calling around the Baron. They stopped it at just around 3,000 health. They looked for the turn pick, they killed RonOP, then they went back on the Baron, focusing Olaf as they went. It was about as clean as could be given the scenario. Desperately needed the Baron buff recalls, getting them there to stop any more hijinks, and this time the inhibitor trade is not quite the same.
Not at all, but still, EVOS were able to take the inhibitor down. But we still have to see Fnatic use the Baron buff. Last time we said, can they do it? They didn't. This time they have to if they're actually able to close out this game.
Yeah, let's take another look at this, because they know that Olaf is going to be able to pop his ultimate and run straight into the Baron for a steal when it gets low. So as you said, Smithy, they immediately turn, go for the kill on Ron, but Olaf still gets in there, and he got it very, very low. 760-something health there. In the end, though, they focus him down, kill off YiJin, and take the Baron for themselves.
Now it's all about closing the game. Feels like they have the stats. That's what happens when you have a tanky team. You can't afford to tank the Baron for as long as they did, but Stark's back up top side.
Yeah, of course. EVOS have to continue to play to their strength, the split push. He needs to be able to run very quickly. It's his short timings here. Just 30 seconds means the difference. Every minion wave, so important. He's going to have to work through 1 more to get up to the inhibitor, and that's forcing some recalls already from Fnatic.
You say some, but 3 recalls actually come here. It's certainly the buddy system being employed to deal with this Camille with Guardian Angel. And they're actually trying to kill him by using the ult early.
Yeah, Soaz isn't going to connect on towards Stark. He's just waiting there, though. And the rest of Fnatic are actually collapsing in. Can Stark take a 1v1 versus anyone? He's going to teleport away. Only Caps is going to meet him, and so he will be able to escape.
The bottom side of the map there.
Actually going to try and kill Braum, who's isolated on the bottom side.
Hylissang now!
Hylissang on the wrong position. Here comes the Ragnarok, and Hylissang just caught out entirely on his own in the bottom lane. Great teleport from Stark. They collapse. The EVOS get a kill.
Again, they're going to try and push the mid wave as quickly as possible, but they would need theirs to get there to take down the Nexus turret. This is such a big threat, though. Fnatic don't have a lot of time to work with because that bottom lane minion, if that gets to the Nexus turret, Stark will be able to annihilate that thing.
And there's only one of those Nexus turrets left. Remember, he took the top side one much earlier.
Yeah. Thankfully for Fnatic, they have Baron empowered recalls. So EVOS trying to stop them becomes very difficult, and that window is closed.
This one's getting messy.
This one's getting very messy. Fnatic aren't playing as a coordinated unit a lot of the time. I'm not sure why Hylissang was down in that bottom lane getting caught out.
It's so difficult, though. If you've been in these late game situations, being pulled across the map, without the ability to try and, take any of those side lanes, you can definitely realize why they're getting kind of frantic in these situations.
And it shouldn't be lost on any of the viewers saying go for the dive. The moment the word dive comes up, people get really concerned about the risks associated with it, and they certainly have the damage to end the game if it's heavily botched. But you drafted Sion, Trundle, Vladimir, and Braum. You really drafted a comp. You got the second Baron. It's all about actually pulling the trigger. If they continue to just be pulled across the map by EVOS, the game could certainly fall out of their hands.
Yeah, Stark is doing such a good job of keeping Fnatic, honorable to the clock. Every time he jumps right back out to the minion wave, pushes up as quickly as possible, and he threatens that if this one gets close enough, you're going to have to lose the game, and forces Fnatic's hand to pull back here.
Fnatic are sitting in that position that they want to be, though. We said they wanted to scale up. They wanted a slower game. You've got a fully built Ezreal. You've got almost 5 items on Caps as well. If they can find a team fight, they should be able to take it home.
Yeah, that's the problem, though. You can't scale into a team fight. You can't force them to 5-on-5. Stark scaled up extremely well as well. So much damage now on EVOS. They're just trying to play the game in different ways to the strengths of the champions. And once again, it's so much about these minion waves.
Stark almost has a double flame horizon over Soaz, and yet maybe on the losing team. Could still drop this one despite being over 200 CS ahead because they really cannot opt into a 5v5. The rest of his champions don't have the items for it.
And Elder's up in 20 seconds. Fnatic have no vision at all on the bottom side of this map. Basically entirely dark for them at the moment. Only that Scuttle Crab giving them any awareness of what's going on.
They probably don't need more, though, because they just lead in with their face, lead in with the Sion, and they force a fight if they see any.
Yeah, Stark has been very good at keeping his distance as well. Playing split push can get very, very tense. All right, will Fnatic be able to deal with this situation? Elder Dragon's on the field, and Stark is close to the inhibitor.
I want you to remember that if we do not see Stark in a fight, the gold lead is way bigger than it appears. It may be 5,000 gold, but so much gold is on Stark.
The inhibitor's going to go down. Stark is taking that thing quickly.
Yeah, Caps was just waiting in base. He's actually switched to teleport now, which I really like. Elder Dragon started, though. Stark, no TP on him. Caps and Stark are going to fight in the base. EVOS trying to set the Elder Dragon. Here they go. RonOP in the front line. Elder Drake goes down. And now it's a 4v5 in Elder Drake on EVOS.
Elder Drake doesn't help you recall faster, though, and he's still attacking.
Look back in the base. Caps is getting destroyed by Stark. Able to get away for the time being. Actually gets the GA out as well with a Hemo play. Caps heals up. The fight in the mid lane erupts. And Caps kills Stark in the base.
Even with the Elder Dragon take here for EVOS, they kill off Stark, the big point man for this team. So again, we get more breathing room, boys.
It's so difficult to track the action. It looked like the Vladimir would lose the trade, but as long as you hit the Hemo Plague and go into some form of stasis, you get the heal, suddenly have a health advantage, and no way for the Camille to overpower. Camille is down, so does Elder Dragon on the Rift, and now somehow it's about a third Baron setup.
Certainly a game-saving 1v1 up by the Nexus there from Caps to be able to stall it again.
Every day he stepped up for Fnatic. Every day it's been about Caps. This game hasn't been so much, but he does what he needs to do in these clutch moments.
So big as well, though, for EVOS. This time around, when they contest the objective, they're committing to trying to go for the steal and not bring Stark down, not going for the fights. They keep him up, split pushing, and just try and steal the objective. This time, they actually get it. They are the ones with the Elder Dragon buff, so it means that they're not under the threat of Fnatic actually pushing in on the base.
To your point, Medic, about Star making plays, we saw RonOP with a great interrupt on Broxah to get the Elder Dragon. A Star is definitely going to lose. We've had excellent plays everywhere. Finally, we get the focus on what happened on the top side. It looked like it was going to be a great start, but watch the Hemo play healing here. First, the Tides of Blood, while he's already there, the turret shots add up, and then healing comes through, and sadly, no way to win that for Camille.
Definitely a lot of turret shots. All right. Baron number 3 here now.
RonOP engages off towards the bottom side of this fight, but Caps there. Once again with the Sanguine Pool, Azir puts up the wall. Stark split pushing in the bottom lane. Have to keep our eyes on what Stark is doing in these fights. Broxah able to escape, but Fnatic started the Baron, have to walk away.
Now, without the Baron-empowered recall, Stark is going to have a lot more time this time around, and EVOS starting it up.
Caps is going back, though. Does have the teleport because he switched with that Unseal spell, but YiJin low. Fnatic can fight forward in the river here. Hylissang trying to jump on Rekkles.
It's all about clear calls back in the base, though.
Hemo play from Caps once again. Stark so low, and Caps just needs the Tides of Blood. Trundle comes out as well. There's the Headcut ultimatum. Stark dies, and Fnatic start the Baron.
Yep, they're back on it here, and EVOS have already recalled, so Fnatic come up huge.
Third Baron of the game should go their way. He keeps trying to play with the Vladimir. Can't do it, Ken Stark. He gets taken down, able to make it happen. This Baron will be slow, but surely it'll be for Fnatic.
But every time we've seen Fnatic take a Baron, we've said they should be able to close here. They should be able to take an in hit. They should be able to win out the game. It's just not working for them sometimes.
I feel like words like should, would, need to be thrown out of our vocabulary for this MSI. We've had a lot of upsets. Team Liquid winning the previous game, one of them already. Fnatic have been very reticent to fully commit. Now we're at the point where you make that full commitment and you say, okay, the Vladimir items are there, blah, blah, blah. Remember, the Azir wall can just ruin something like that. It can still be turned around, and now we're looking for one man in particular.
EVOS in the jungle. Will they strike?
But the answer is no. They see the push through mid lane and have to respond pretty quick.
Stark has just respawned as well, though, so Fnatic are caught out by a flank or by a ward where Stark can teleport in. EVOS can still win fights. Camille is still an okay team fighter. Doesn't always have to be used in that split push role.
You just can't see it, though. It just feels like if they actually go for a 5v5, it can only go one way.
Yeah, we've seen Caps, continually kill in the 1v1 Stark over and over. Now, if he's in the team fight, that's a lot of AoE damage that's also hitting other members. Azir turret is raised, though, here for EVOS.
Gold lead has extended to 9,000 gold for Fnatic, but pretty much everyone is sitting at 4 or 5 items. Teleport used down towards that bottom lane by Caps. Stark, they're trying to catch up. Caps pops the Shurelya. Broxah in here with the pillar as well. Stark gonna get knocked up by the axe. The redemption comes out as well, but the Sterax, the healing, the redemption, the hemo. Is it enough from Fnatic to kill the unkillable Stark? Still alive, but eventually he falls, and RonOP then has to flash away, trying to dodge away towards YiJin as well. But that's a double for Caps. YiJin, the new target here for Fnatic, as they look to close this one out. Slay low, caught out towards the top side. Rekkles there as well.
They're going to continue pushing here. Baron up. Power Fnatic.
It's a quadra for Fnatic. But Rekkles steals the penta. The reverse of yesterday. Rekkles says that one's mine. That one's for yesterday. And Fnatic will eventually close out the game. They'll take down the Nexus towers and they'll take themselves to 3-2 at MSI.
Finally, they found a way to punish the top laner. Stark finally caught by a good teleport in. This time was Soaz in lane. Vladimir joins. Vladimir closes the game with a quadra. And Fnatic do pick up the win, even though it was a long, winding journey to finally get there.
Yeah, this year we've seen so much 5-on-5. It's really fun to see a well-split map. EVOS committing to it for so long, getting a lot. But in the end, not enough, as Fnatic patiently teleport over. They protect Soaz, get the kill onto Stark, and are able to finish out the game.
If you're EVOS, though, I think you're pretty proud of that game. You pulled Fnatic all across the map after not having your gameplay, your game plan in the early game really pay off. Through the entirety of the game, they were behind, but they kept that gold gap close.
It was an endurance test for everyone involved. A long game, atypical of our heavy snowballing games we've had so far in MSI 2018. Both these teams gonna have need to have their wits around them when they play again today. They have to shake off what was a very long game, and sadly for EVOS, no further victory.
I think that was maybe his reaction to getting close to a penta.
It's just like Rekkles, like you did it to me yesterday, I'm gonna do it to you today. Sure, Caps will have plenty of opportunity in the future to get a penta as well. Interesting to see how Xayah's gelled with the team here as well. Was very much a safe top laner. Didn't really shine, didn't really disappoint too much.
And it's very hard to work out where the shot calling was at. Specifically, we were calling for dives, we didn't see them. Sion certainly was one of the champions that could have gone in headfirst, didn't happen. Was it a SOAS thing? Was it a Fnatic thing? We can only speculate. They do close out the game. They are on a 3-game win streak, and it does mean that EVOS join Team Liquid, joint at 1-5.
Yeah, so much of these games between hard engage versus split push is down to team calling in the late game in all those situations where you have objectives cross map pulling the teams in 2 different directions. But it's also about the individual performances and Caps back-to-back solo kills onto Stark in the base when they needed it most. He was able to hold for them.
That's how we knew that he would be the one on Vladimir. Again, another team, Sion mid lane, put in the banner, shut down the Azir. It's all about Caps for Fnatic this year with Rekkles, a very, very able second to him, able to take over the game as Vladimir. But damn if it didn't take 3rd, 4th chance to actually close the door.
Fnatic will be looking at the rest of their schedule today and feeling pretty happy as well. They've got RNG next. If Foscurion's predictions hold true, maybe they won't be able to take the win, but we'll have to wait and see. For a closer look at this game, let's hear from our analysts.
Thank you very much, Medic. What an insane back and forth game between these 2 squads. EVOS putting up quite a fight against Fnatic, but ultimately the European squad coming out on top.
Yeah, and after the early game, I was like, easy win for Fnatic. Giant CS lead for the AD carry. They've taken everything. They're going to get Baron now. There's nothing EVOS can do. And then randomly, we start looking towards the side lane, and out of nowhere, there's this Camille flying around.
I mean, we built like 7 graphics. We pulled like 37 replays, and then we threw them all out the window in the last 5 minutes of that game because it just completely got blown open in such a crazy way, Jazz.
The story of the game kept changing. It was Fnatic's great early games, and then it was the ability to fully commit to split push. Let's actually give up Baron. Let's never teleport. Let's give up an inhibitor so we can get this Camille 200 CS ahead of the top laner, but also 100 CS in 2 levels ahead of the rest of the game, and try and make this completely unstoppable split pusher that for most of the game felt like it could never be stopped. And if it wasn't for Caps' heroics on Vladimir, that would have been a lost game for Fnatic.
It's also a bit of a warning flag then for the other teams looking in the tournament. This is one of the first times that Stark got his Camille to go through, and he almost puts the game on his back and carries it through. But like you said, the heroics of Caps, front runner for best mid laner in the tournament, but if you need to be the best mid of the tournament to just slow this guy down on Camille, don't give him the champion.
And I gotta admit, I was sitting watching this game, and I'm sure you guys can confirm this as well. And
sweating bullets.
Sweating for sure, but also I got angry and I started yelling that Caps get teleport and just sit in that base, because the only way for EVOS to win this game is Stark runs in and takes your Nexus. He almost did it multiple times, and Caps towards the end got a stopwatch, took TP, and even against an Elder Drake Camille, he took the fight we just saw earlier, won that one, took the next one as well, and that's when it kind of felt like, okay, now EVOS has run out of ways to win because they can stop Camille. 2
1v1s in a row, followed by a quadra kill out of this young mid laner who continues to impress in this tournament.
Yeah, and I want to see a Camille main and a Vladimir main of equal skill hopping into games and practicing 6-side and 1v1s, because I feel like it should be a huge skill matchup, and I do think Stark misplayed those and Caps played them pretty much perfectly. The Zhonya's usage and the pool usage, I don't think was disengaged properly by Stark. There's minion waves he could have been healing up on. He didn't need to eat Q2s from Vladimir, and I think even Fnatic wasn't sure if Caps was going to be able to pull this off. That's why I think they gave up the other Drake, because they think,
they're pulling back.
If Caps loses this 1v1, we don't want to lose the game here.
Right.
But he completely clutched it out. So much credit to Caps to being able to win these 1v1s against the 20,000 gold Camille twice in a row.
I also do want to give credit to the other 4 members that were kind of dancing around doing the tango while these 2 were, looking for their massive clash. The amount of times that the Vietnamese squad was able to pull Fnatic off of massive objectives or set up early, usually you don't see that type of macro play, especially in such a high pressure situation from these, emerging region teams.
That's true, and we had, I think, at least 10 moments in this game where it felt like something could have gone completely wrong for Fnatic. We had a potential Baron steal, Olaf flashing in. He just doesn't get the smite on. If he did, Stark was already at the Nexus turret with a minion wave, and Fnatic can't recall. Game is over. multiple of those situations and playing that kind of game, it's awful because everyone is screaming.
Absolutely. And Jad, I want to make sure that one of your earlier statements doesn't go unnoticed here. The fact that EVOS as a team is so willing to commit to one strategy, not just in this game. We saw it similarly against Kingzone, but in a totally different fashion.
Kingzone, it was Stark who was down 200 CS and Khan who was going crazy, and they made that game competitive as well. So they narrowly missed out on a few wins here now that their first round robin of the group stage is done, and they're coming out of it at 1-4. But they
could have been 3-2.
Could have won this Fnatic one, and there's a chance they could have been 3-2. So,
it could have been 5-0, exactly.
A huge win for Fnatic, because if they lose this, it's a tie with EVOS at 2-3. Fnatic really positioned themselves well here.
All right, well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Enough from us. It's time to head over to Shox to hear from Fnatic's jungler.
Well, I'm here with Broxah after what turned out to be, I think, a crazier game than you anticipated. I talked to Youngbuck beforehand, and he said game plan is strong lanes, but slow and steady. Why did it devolve into this very, very tricky game for you guys, and how were you able to win it in the end?
Well, obviously coming into the game, we knew we were favorites, and we thought it would be easier than it turned out to be. But the thing was, early in the game, Soas decided to TP bot to get our bot lane ahead, but that put him pretty far behind in a carry matchup. So Camille suddenly started snowballing and got further and further ahead, and they killed him bot. And then she was like 2 levels ahead instead of 1. And then at one point we just couldn't deal with her anymore, and she was just pushing and killing our base. But yeah, eventually Caps got strong enough to actually 1v1 her, and that kind of saved us in the end.
That seemed to be it. Finally, he could kill her, and that has also been kind of the story of Fnatic. It's been all about Caps so far, but I do also want to talk about you. How do you see your role in elevating Caps? Because you've had some intense games. You've been credited with tracking Peanut and winning versus Kingzone and stuff like that. So how has it been for you so far?
I think me and Caps are actually a really strong duo right now. I know in the split we were a bit up and down. Like sometimes we didn't really communicate together, and he ended up being left a bit on his own because our synergy wasn't the best. But I think right now we are in a really good spot and we're working well together. And I think we also complement each other really well. Like he just wants to go ham and make these insane plays, whereas I'm a bit more stable and consistent in a way. So he's like the crazy...
That's fine. It's also crazy.
He's like the crazy, aggressive, a bit inconsistent guy, whereas I'm like a bit more stable. So I think we complement each other really well.
A wonderful balance. That's what it's looking like for now. Now, a very important question. You played versus EVOS. Warzone, their mid laner, said he is not afraid of anyone because he can do 1,000 push-ups. And he thinks it's very important to have a healthy body for a healthy mind. I know you also are very prone to going to the gym and being healthy. Can you do 1,000 push-ups?
I can do a lot of push-ups, but I don't think I can do 1,000.
All right.
It's probably not even close.
Not even close. Okay, well, at least he's got that on you guys. A quick one, RNG later, super important game for you guys. How is your mental going into that, going off of this up and down game?
Well, in the first game, we literally won the game. After pushing the base, we were all basing, but then we ended up staying and baiting them instead. So the game was pretty much over if we actually based, like they couldn't do anything. But then we got greedy and lost. So after playing that game, we were pretty sad. Like it was pretty bittersweet because we actually had them. But that also means going into the next game, we're aware that we're good enough to beat them. So it's all good. We're ready to get revenge.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we'll be looking forward to that. Thank you very much. Congratulations. 3 wins in a row for Fnatic. We'll be back after the break.
Hylissang with a flash forward on towards